What do your smartphone, your vitamin pills, the cardboard box your last Amazon order came in, and the paper in your printer all have in common? They all contain potato starch. Yes, potato starch. You probably thought potato starch was just that weird ingredient in some recipes, right? Maybe something your grandmother used? Wrong. Potato starch is a multi-billion-dollar global industry that touches almost every aspect of modern life. And stick around to the end, because I'm going to reveal the one unique molecular property that makes potato starch irreplaceable in hundreds of industrial applications, a property that even advanced synthetic materials can't replicate. Let's start with the basics. Potato starch is a carbohydrate extracted from potatoes, but it's not just any carbohydrate. Starch is made of two types of molecules: amylose, long, straight chains, and amylopectin, branched chains. Both are built from glucose units, but their different structures give starch its unique properties. Potato starch contains about 20% amylose and 80% amylopectin, which is different from corn starch, 25 to 28% amylose, or wheat starch, 25% amylose. These ratios matter a lot. Potato starch granules are also larger than other starches, ranging from 15 to 100 micrometers. Size matters in industrial applications, and potato starch's large granules give it unique functional properties. One more important distinction: native potato starch, just extracted and dried, versus modified potato starch, chemically or physically altered for specific uses. Both are widely used, but for different purposes. So how do you get pure white powder from brown, lumpy potatoes? The process is fascinating. Step 1. Cleaning. Potatoes arrive dirty. They're thoroughly washed to remove soil, stones, and debris. Step 2. Rasping. Clean potatoes are ground into a fine pulp using industrial grinders called raspiers. This ruptures the cell walls and releases the starch granules. Step 3. Separation. This is where it gets clever. The potato pulp is mixed with water. Starch granules are denser than water and heavier than fiber, so they settle to the bottom while fiber and other components float or stay suspended. Modern facilities use centrifuges and hydrocyclones to speed up this separation. The starch milk, starch suspended in water, is then refined multiple times to remove any remaining impurities. Step 4. Drying. The purified starch is dried using hot air or vacuum drying to create the final white powder. Step 5. Quality control. Samples are tested for purity, moisture content, viscosity, and other properties to ensure consistency. The result? Pure potato starch with 99% plus purity, ready for food or industrial use. Let's start with what you're probably most familiar with: cooking. Thickening agent. Potato starch creates exceptionally clear, glossy sauces and gravies. Unlike wheat flour, which makes cloudy sauces, potato starch stays clear even when cooked. This is why it's preferred in Asian cuisines for stir-fry sauces. Gluten-free baking. Potato starch is a staple in gluten-free recipes. It adds moisture and creates a tender crumb in baked goods. It's often blended with other gluten-free flours like rice flour or almond flour. Crispy coatings. Here's where potato starch shines. It creates an incredibly crispy, crunchy coating on fried foods that stays crispy longer than wheat flour or cornstarch coatings. Korean and Japanese cuisines have perfected this technique. The secret? Potato starch absorbs less oil and creates a lighter, crunchier crust with a distinct texture. Noodle making. Pure potato starch noodles, like Korean glass noodles or japchae, are translucent, chewy, and have a unique texture that can't be replicated with other starches. When to use potato starch: clear, glossy sauces, gluten-free baking, extra crispy fried foods. When you need high-temperature stability: Asian cuisine recipes specifically calling for it. But here's where things get really interesting. Only about 30% of potato starch goes into food. The other 70%, industrial applications you'd never guess. Paper and cardboard manufacturing. Potato starch is used as a binder and coating agent in paper production. It improves paper strength, smoothness, and printability. That magazine you're reading? Probably coated with potato starch. Corrugated cardboard boxes use starch-based adhesives to hold the layers together. Billions of shipping boxes worldwide are held together with potato starch glue. Textile industry. Potato starch is used in fabric sizing, the process that makes fabric stiffer and easier to weave. It's also used in fabric printing to create sharp, clear designs. Pharmaceutical industry. Potato starch serves as a binder in tablet manufacturing, holds pills together. A disintegrant, helps tablets break down in your stomach. A coating agent for controlled release medications. A filler in capsules. Biodegradable plastics. This is the exciting frontier. Potato starch is being used to create biodegradable plastics and packaging materials that decompose naturally. Unlike petroleum-based plastics that persist for centuries, starch-based plastics can break down in industrial composting facilities within months. Drilling fluids. In oil and gas drilling, modified potato starch is used in drilling fluids, drilling mud, to control viscosity and help remove rock cuttings from the well. Adhesives. From envelope glue to wallpaper paste to plywood bonding, potato starch-based adhesives are everywhere because they're non-toxic, renewable, and effective. Construction. Potato starch is used in gypsum board, drywall, production, concrete additives, and even in some insulation materials. Here's the good news. Potato starch is surprisingly sustainable compared to petroleum-based alternatives. Renewable resource. Potatoes are renewable. They grow every year. Petroleum? Not so much. Lower carbon footprint. Studies show that starch-based materials typically have 50 to 70% lower carbon emissions than petroleum-based equivalents. Biodegradable. When used in biodegradable products, potato starch breaks down naturally through microbial action, returning carbon to the soil instead of persisting as pollution. Byproduct utilization. Modern potato starch facilities use almost everything. The leftover potato fiber becomes animal feed or biofuel. The protein-rich water is processed for animal feed supplements. Minimal waste. Challenges: it's not perfect. Potato starch requires agricultural land and water. But as technology improves, the efficiency keeps getting better. So what's that one irreplaceable property I promised to reveal? It's called retrogradation resistance. Here's what this means. When most starches are heated, cooled, and then frozen, they undergo retrogradation. The starch molecules realign and form crystals. This causes syneresis, water separation, graininess, and loss of texture. Potato starch resists this. Its high phosphate content, naturally occurring phosphate groups attached to the starch molecules, and specific molecular structure prevents significant retrogradation. Why this matters? This property makes potato starch essential for frozen foods that maintain texture after thawing, refrigerated products that don't separate, industrial products that experience temperature fluctuations, pharmaceutical formulations requiring stability. No synthetic alternative replicates this property as effectively or as economically. This is why, despite decades of chemical research, potato starch remains irreplaceable in certain applications. The potato starch industry isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Research is developing stronger, more versatile biodegradable plastics that could replace conventional plastics in more applications. Potato starch is at the forefront. In medicine, researchers are exploring potato starch for tissue engineering scaffolds, advanced drug delivery systems, and biodegradable medical implants. Believe it or not, potato starch is being tested for use in biodegradable electronics and as components in sustainable batteries. Global demand is projected to grow 4 to 5% annually as industries shift away from petroleum-based materials toward renewable alternatives. From the soil to your smartphone, from your kitchen to your cardboard boxes, potato starch is everywhere, a hidden player in modern life. It's a reminder that sometimes the most important innovations come from the most humble sources. A simple potato, refined into powder, powers industries worth billions and is helping solve our plastic pollution crisis. As we search for sustainable alternatives to petroleum-based materials, this centuries-old ingredient might just be one of our best solutions for a more sustainable future. What surprised you most about potato starch? Had you ever thought about where it comes from or what it's used for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you learned something new today, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the everyday ingredients and materials that shape our world.